Hello, it is Liam, the Deaf Doom Metalhead, and this is my top 20 EP splits, comps, demos of the year for 2022. This was a really hard list to make for 20. I've tried to make it as hard as I can. I'm going to do a full-length one with the same number as well in my next video. But this is 20, and I'm going to do it from 19 down to 20 down to 1, and 1 being my personal favourite. And you know, these are all solid, but I've numbered it so ones I've listened to the most and what I think are different and, you know, more interesting and that kind of thing. So I have man flu, so I sound like a bag of arse. Every Christmas I get ill, so I do apologise if I sound like shite. I will try and keep up and talk clearly. So without further ado, this is my number 20 pick. A four-way split that was put out back in September. This features Thorn, Celestial Sanctuary, Fumes, and what are they called? Perilaxe Occlusion. That's the band. This was amazing. This was put out through Cavernous Records, Dry Cough Records. I think there's an American label involved as well. And each band has added a track to this four-way split, and kind of varying styles of death metal. Fumes being the more technical, deathy, proggy approach. You've got Thorn, which is more of a death doom band. Celestial Sanctuary, which is more of a, I want to say, a bit hardcore influenced death metal, very heavy. And then Perilaxe Occlusion just absolutely pummel you to death. It's just straight up, no nonsense death metal. I think two bands are Canadian, one's American, and Celestial Sanctuary are out of the UK. And it's a killer split. Didn't expect to see this come out at all when it was announced. I was really impressed to see those bands getting together to make something. Really cool release. Go check it out. It's fantastic. Number 19 is some American death metal that was put out for Our Life After Death back in February. This is some sci-fi tinged death metal by the band Morgued with Terraformed. This was put out back in February, and it has Starship Troopers audio inserts between the songs, so it has a real fun approach to it. It's just really good death metal, but I loved that film, and it made me like this more and more. Such a silly film, and the older you get and the more you watch it, it makes more sense, because as a kid I thought it was a horror film. Terrified me. But yeah, Morgues do it really nice, really chunky, really heavy death metal, really good fun. So that's my number 19 pick. Number 18 is a UK band that features an American, no, I get that wrong every time, Canadian vocalist. This is Alucard with Tepes. This was put out through Stump Grinder Records back in November. That's right, yeah. And this is a 3-track EP of no nonsense, straight to the point, brutal as fuck death metal. Very heavy, and it features the vocal talent of Mr. Brendan Dean, who will probably feature in quite a few of the releases of this video, who I also think mastered this. I might be dead wrong though, but I know Joss has this year really branched out and expanded on his metal empire with various projects, and has also got the bass work of Matt Parker on this, who is also based in the UK. This is fantastic. It's just really heavy, really nasty, and you know, I love all that. So that is my number 18 pick, Alucard. Number 17 is some UK death doom in the 90s kind of formula, but it's got a bit of groove in there and kind of picks it up. It's got HM2 guitar tone, and this is Roots of the Old Oak, put out through Hammerheart Records back in March, and this is their debut demo called Blot. This is a weird one because I did no expectation what I was going to get with this. I just kind of blindly bought it because it was like a £5. Really cheap. And it said Death Doom, and you know, the channel name should give it away that I'm going to buy it if it's a UK band, especially at that price. And it is brilliant. It is really good, well written Death Doom in that 90s era form. The band has members of bands that were around in the early 2000s in various black metal and death metal projects here in the UK, and they've kind of come back with this kind of project. I believe there's a full length from these guys next year, so that'd be really cool to hear what they do with that. But yeah, well worth your time. I think it's about 4 tracks, one being an instrumental, and it's just really good fun, really heavy, very catchy. And if you like your 90s death doom, your peaceful free, that kind of stuff, you'll get an absolute kick out of this. So yeah, Roots of the Old Oak. Number 16 is some Scouse death metal in the vein of Trenchfoot with the EP Moral Obscenity. This was put out through Dry Cough Records back in June. And Joe, one-man project, he's been in a few bands in the past, and this is his second EP by memory of this project. And it's just killer. It's fucking no-nonsense death metal. And what makes it even better, as a family man, I love this. He does his own band photos. It's all done by him while he's out and about with the kids. I mean, it doesn't get more, cult than that. So I love Joe. He's an amazing musician. Brilliant music. He put out a split with Body Asphyxiation Science. That would have been in this list, but it didn't quite meet the same standard as this. I thought this was brilliant. So Moral Obscenity. Go check it out. Wicked release. I love it. Absolutely love it. Right, number 15 is some German death metal by the name of R.I.P. This was put out through Life After Death Records back in May, and this is their second EP, Still Resting. If you're a fan of Morgued, Asphyx, those kind of bands, really, I mean, you don't really need to branch out too much further. You're going to be happy with this. These guys are really solid, very well executed death metal. It's very riffy, very catchy. And I really would love them to do a full length now, because they should be one of those bigger death metal bands that most people have heard of, because 2 EPs now and they've both been absolutely solid. Very, very catchy, very riffy. This has got 4 tracks and it's just, repeat. It's a really good EP. So yeah, R.I.P. Still Resting. Awesome. Let's get some beer in my system. No one already get low. Alright. This one is some Mexican death doom for number 14 that many people might have not heard of, but it was put out back in May. One-man project by the name of Incongruous, and this is the EP Upheaval of Autophagus Wisdom. Now this is very raw, very chasmic, very empty sounding death doom. It's got some real chunky death metal parts, but it's also got a real eerie vibe underneath it all. So there's some spoken word kind of sections kind of imprinted into it that really make it creepy, and it's just really eerie and horrible. And death doom you can do either way. You can go for the more riffy style, or you can go for that kind of atmospheric, like kind of set building in your mind, where you kind of set the stage of what you want the listener to see when they listen to it. And this is just horrible, very nasty, but it's great. Very morbid, and I love it. So yeah. Number 14, Incongruous. Excuse me. Not dead yet. Number 13 is some American death metal that is fantastic. Another Life After Death release put out back in April, and this is Tomb Sentinel with Perpetual Vice. This is a new band, but also features the vocalist Devon Swank, who is well known for being in the band Sugar Bob, or something like that, how you pronounce it. We were very, very popular, and I think they've got a new album out next year. But he also does the vocals for this band, and it is no-nonsense, brutal, slammy-esque kind of death metal in the American style. It's very catchy, it's very heavy, and I absolutely love it. Very, very cool release. The Europeans can't seem to get this style kind of right, but the Americans are all over it. So if you haven't checked this out, I strongly recommend it. So that's my number 13 pick, Tomb Sentinel. Awesome stuff. Number 12, we're going to Scotland now, because this EP is stellar, absolutely stellar, and I probably could have rated it higher, but I've not had it that long, so I couldn't really push it up too much higher. And that is Chestcrush with whatever it's called down there, because I can't pronounce it. This was put out back in November, and is a one-man project. It does have other musicians in it, I believe, but Evan is the main man behind it. It's a self-release, excuse me, and it is just fucking amazing. Chestcrush put out a brilliant full-length, I think it was last year, or maybe the year before now, and it was just brutal, it was heavy, it was amazing. And he's kind of expanded on that sound. It's a HM2 tinged kind of guitar tone, and the vocals are so angry, and the guy doing the vocals, I forget his name, I didn't write it down. He's brutal, very angry and aggressive, and it's just fucking amazing. So, excuse me, if you haven't checked that out, oh, can't recommend that enough. Evan is a mastermind when it comes to writing horrible music that I absolutely love. Right, number 11, staying in Scotland. This was another new band that was put out by Dry Cough Records back in April, and that is Rancid Cadaver with their debut EP Flesh Monstrosity. This is Cannibal Corpse-esque, it's doomy in parts, it's just brilliant. It's just all those kind of the best of death metal bands that you want to hear in your ears. These guys can do it. It's very riffy, very chunky, very thick. It reminds me a lot of not Eating Back to Life, what's the one after that? Butchered at Birth, Cannibal Corpse for some reason. On one song I think it is. But then they also have that kind of obituary-esque kind of style, and it's great. And the Scottish death metal scene, I mean, this isn't not the only Scottish band in this video. Obviously with Chestcrush being the other one. But yeah, amazing EP, well worth checking out. So yeah, Rancid Cadaver with Flesh Monstrosity. Oh. What have I done with it? I've lost it. Oh, here we go. Right. So next one, number 11, is some Portuguese death metal. This was put out back out in April via Morbid Chapel Records, and it's a similar name to the previous band. This is Rancid Amputation with Vile Human Taste. Now this is just amazing as well. This is very riffy, catchy death metal. It's brutal, angry, nasty, one-man projects. Normally you're going to get that kind of lo-fi vibe to it, and you do get that with this. You know, I believe it's programmed drums. I could be dead wrong now. I think you might even play all the instruments on it. If I haven't read the liner notes, but if you like nasty, chunky death metal with that kind of lo-fi, kind of very underground vibe to it, this is well worth checking out. It's very good fun, and it's 5 tracks of just no nonsense death metal. So what more do you want? So yeah, Rancid Amputation. Oh, wicked release. Right, we're in number 9 now. We're getting in that top 10. So number 9 is a return to form, but not as good as the full length that I absolutely adore. This is Disma with Earthdium. I can't pronounce it. This is put out through Necroharmonic Records back in June, and is a 3-track EP of death metal with former members of Incantation. So you're going to have that similar vibe to it. Disma are a doomy, deathy kind of death metal band, but it's just essentially slowed down death metal with these guys. They're a great band. I absolutely love them, and I'm hoping for another full length from them soon. So yeah, a really cool return to form for 2022. So yeah, Disma. Number 8. Move this list down a bit. Number 8 is a new band on me, and the EP was fantastic and it absolutely blew my mind. This is Ancient Death with Sacred Vessel. This was another one put out through Necroharmonic Records and Rotter Records back in August, and I have listened to this a lot. This is fantastic. Doomy death metal, but it's more than the death metal than the doom. It's got those kind of breakdown sections in there. It's fantastic. It's really heavy, really eerie, nasty. Cover doesn't really give too much away, and I really like that actually. It kind of made me want to check it out more to make sure I really liked it, and I absolutely adore it. So yeah, if you're into the US style death metal that is kind of culty, undergroundy sounding and very heavy and eerie, well worth checking out. So some Ancient Death with Sacred Vessel. Number 7. Yes, number 7. Now this one was another blind buy from a British band. Absolutely floored me, and this, every time I listen to this I enjoy it more and more. It's so heavy, and the production on it is mint. It's absolutely crisp. This is Iron Tomb with Vile Retribution. This is I don't even know what the record label is behind this. I'll obviously leave a link or leave a note down there. But this absolutely floored me. I mean, again, this is a blindly bought EP from a UK band. You know, for me, it doesn't cost a lot of money to support bands in the UK. A couple of quid in postage and maybe like under a tenner for a release. And I was fucking floored by this. I generally was. This is amazing. It's so fucking heavy. Big riffs. Like, I mean, big riffs. Vocals are massive. The drums sound huge. For a decent setup, it really fucking punches you in the face. Double kick sounds amazing. And it's just brilliant. I mean, the cover doesn't really give too much away, and you're not kind of sure what you're going to get. Is it going to be kind of thrashy? And it's more modern death metal in that American style in a way. It's just fantastic. and these are Brummies as well. So and you don't hear that at all. You think you would, but you don't. So yeah, Iron Tomb, really really cool release. That's my number 7 for this year. Number 6 is a split that I never knew was going to come out, and 2 absolutely titanic bands of the scene. This is Ritual Necromancy and Fossilization with their split for this year. This was done through through Everlasting Spew back in February. Now these 2 bands I love because they do the doomy death metal style, where it's their death metal band, but they put a lot of atmosphere, a lot of eeriness into their music, so you kind of think it's death doom at some points, but it's not. But they have that they are in that ballpark where they can bring that into their sound. This EP was really cool because Ritual Necromancy just do 1 song, which is into the double digits. Very long, but it's very well written, where it kind of grows. It doesn't get boring at all. It's not just sat on one riff. It grows, and it's a really cool track. And then Fossilization do 2. And again, the Brazilian band, it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. They did an EP a couple of years ago, and that was fantastic. So yeah, absolutely love these. Both these bands are fantastic. So well worth checking out if you haven't checked that out. And the cover as well it's just a no-brainer, isn't it? Right, we're into the top 5 now. My number 5 pick is 2 bands that put out this wicked split, and it's another one featuring Mr. Brendan Dean. This is Pukewraith and Intestinal Hex. This has also got Daniel, I can never pronounce his surname, Bonfolio, probably dead wrong with that, but he's also in Fumes, Intestinal Hex. I swear he writes guitar parts for people for fun as well when they ask him to. He's just an amazing musician, as well as Brendan is. And both these guys, even though they share bands together, they've put this split out where they've both gone against each other. Each song bounces off. So one's a Intestinal Hex track, one's a Pukewraith track, and they kind of do it that way. And I absolutely love it. I hate it when bands do 3 songs from one band and 2 bands from another. When you mix it up, it makes it way more interesting. And this is why this has been so high for me, because it's just fantastic. I mean, the guys have been friends for years, so you can really hear that in the music. It does bounce off each other really well. And it's just brilliant. This was put out through Gurgling Gore in March, and I've been streaming this a lot since my tape deck died, so well worth checking out. Well worth checking out. Can't recommend that one enough. That's a brilliant release. Right, number 4 is the only black metal one of this whole, well, I guess, yeah, it's the only true black metal band in this list, and that is Moonlight Sorcery with the Piercing Through the Frozen Eternity, put out through Avant-Garde Music back in February. Now the band have since put another EP out, which I haven't heard yet, so I can't add it to this list. But when I first heard this is amazing. Icy, cold, atmospheric black metal with bags of melody, ridiculous guitar solos, shreddy, riffy, and it's just amazing. And the Finns know how to do death metal really, really well. So well worth checking out if you haven't checked this out. Amazing band. And the fact they've already put out another EP, which I'm assuming sounds fantastic, because I've seen a lot of people recommend it already. So I'll have to jump on that when I find a copy. But yeah, Moonlight Sorcery is my number 4 pick. Brilliant. Now number 3 is one, again, I've listened to this bags and bags of times. It's one of those ones I can slap on in the car when I'm doing short journeys, because it's not very long. 4 tracks, yeah. And it gets it over in about 15-20 minutes. It's just, does what it wants to do. It leaves you alone. You're happy. And that is a new one from Jesus Wept with Psychedelic Degeneracy. This is put out through Redefining Darkness Records back in March. And yeah, this is very, 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 very good. This is almost I said this when I reviewed it ages ago. This reminds me a lot of Carcass, newer Carcass, and it's got that very riffy kind of grindcore sound to it. With the vocal style especially reminds me, I think, of Jeff Walker probably the most. I think that's why I link it to. But it's very, very shreddy, melodic, riffy. There's loads of fantastic riffs on this. The album cover as well kind of has that homage to Carcass as well, which again is why I think I link it to them. But they're definitely their own band. I wouldn't say they're ripping off Carcass. I would never say that. Excuse me, but I mean, these guys, when this came out, there was a new Carcass album just slightly before this came out, and I thought that was quite naff. When I listened to this, I was like, I want Carcass to sound like these guys. So yeah, well worth checking out. Jesus Wept with Psychedelic Degeneracy. That's a fantastic EP. Now, my number 2 is one that everyone raves about, and to be fair, so do I. I think this project is amazing. It deserves all the hype. There's a reason why these guys are popular, and this is a fantastic EP. It does everything I want. And that is Worm with Blue Nothing. This was put out through 20 Bucks Spin back in October. And I mean, I was excited before this even was announced. I love Worm, and his music is. I am a big Disembowelment fan. I love my black metal now. So those kind of combinations, it's easy. And this EP as well has got so much shredding guitar in it, and I love shredding guitar stuff. It's got synth stuff, and when I listen to it, it reminds me of Count Dracula in his tower, shredding away on a flying V. I picture that when I listen to this. It's fantastic. Excuse me, Phantom Slaughter, and I think there's a few other dudes involved, but he's the main guy behind it, and it's just fucking amazing. Like, it's well written, but it's got more of a black metal influence than the Forever Glade album. You can kind of hear it more in this, and I kind of wish he'd do that again a bit more, because as much as I love my Death Doom, it's nice when you hear bands that kind of expand into other subgenres and add that to the pot. And this is, I mean, this is well produced, it's well mastered, it sounds fucking mental how good this is. I absolutely love it. And that is my number 2 pick, Worm with Forever Blue. The only downside to this one is I got the vinyl that was silver, black and silver, but not blue. So I don't know why they do that when they call it Blue Nothing, but who cares? The music is what it's all about. So yeah, Worm, fantastic release. And my number 1. This will surprise a few people, maybe. This is a Scottish band, and this EP encompasses everything about the underground movement that I absolutely adore. This is so much fun. It always puts a smile on my face when I listen to it. It's simple, it's primitive, it's not trying to be anybody else apart from themselves. It's a good example is if you want to be in a band, it kind of brings home what it is to be in a band. You get the lads around you, you jam your songs, and then you go and record it in the only way you can, whatever money you have, and then you put it out and then hope for the best. And this is basically what that is. This is Brainbath with their debut EP. It was put out through Mocho Records, which I think is their own record label as well. And it's just, I love this so much. All the guys there are hilarious. I mean, look at that. How powerful do they all look? And it was a song, Dumped in the Septic Waste. I think it was that one. Or was it Stripped Clean? I can never remember which one it is. I think it might be Stripped Clean. It's so fun. And the way they recorded it and everything like that, it's very primitive. It's no nonsense. It's got the horror themes in there. It's got that underground death metal vibe to it, the autopsy-esque worship in there. It's dirty, it's horrible. It's not trying to copy anyone. It's not trying to be the best band in the world. It's just a group of lads who put all their heart and soul into an EP. And then when you listen to it, you get that vibe and you appreciate it more, because the longer you be in bands, like I've been in bands now for 15 odd years, you lose sight of that sometimes. You try and be someone else to try and get to that next level, whereas these guys obviously just started out, churned out some music, and it brings a smile to your face, and I fucking love it. So if you haven't checked out Brainbath, I'll obviously leave a link below. But that is my number 1 pick for the year. This has been the most streamed EP I have in my collection this year. So yeah, it's fucking awesome. That came out back in April as well. So if you reached the end, I do appreciate it. There will be another video. Hopefully I'll record it tomorrow or the day before. I'm going to try and get this all out before New Year's Day, of my favourite albums and stuff for this year. I have a cold though, and my daughter's very ill as well, so it's kind of fucked everything up plan wise this Christmas, but we'll muddle through. And I really do appreciate everyone who watches this video. If you like it, please consider liking it in the thing below, and obviously comment on EPs and stuff I should be checking out. I mean, I got over 100 releases for 2022 madly, so if there's anything I've missed that you think I should be checking out, or if you're a fan of the channel and you think, oh, you haven't listened to this yet, let me know, because I love checking out new music. So in the meantime, please take care, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Cheers.